So after the amazing success of my first video, which we, in 5 days, I think we made 18 whole views, which was pretty cool. I think 16 of those views were myself. I decided it's time to make another video, and I want to make a slightly different video this time. I want to talk about something completely different. So my name is Ben, and this is the Pain Cave. This is my gym, and this is where I do all my training and working out. Today what I've got for you is a video about fitness fundamentals. I'm going to cover 5 or 6 different topics. Why I think this is important is there's a lot of bad information out there. There's a lot of confusing information, and there's just a lot of information, whether it's good or bad. There's a lot of it. So what I want to do is try and cover some really basic, simple things about how your muscles work, how your body shape affects what you're going to be good at, what you're not going to be good at, and what you can expect. A little bit about cardio, a little bit about resistance, a little bit about how your fitness, your lative and active fitness impact what you're capable of and what you're going to do. And also I want to cover a little bit about the business of the fitness industry. So I want to talk about mentors, trainers, instructors, that kind of thing, and then a little bit about what sort of accessories are available and what's good, what's bad, and what's ugly. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, you could be a pro, you could be someone who's just starting out, but I think it's always good to just have a quick refresh on everything about the fundamentals of fitness. Why are we doing what we're doing? Where do we start? Where do we stop? And what's in between? Sounds good. Now I'm going to do this in one take because I'm far too lazy to do any editing. I know that sometimes I speak very quietly, sometimes I speak very fast or very slow, sometimes I might speak with pauses and I may be a little bit deliberate. It's me. If you don't like it, hit the next button and go find something else. That's cool. I don't mind. This is just a video that might help you, it might not, and I'd be delighted if it does help you. Okay, cool. So first things first, muscles only pull. Your muscles will only contract under tension. So the way that your body works, every joint has opposing muscles. One side pulls and the other side stretches. When I first heard about this theory, when I first learned about it, I resisted it and I hated it. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it's so true. It's so true. I'm going to give you an example. So if I hold my arm out, I hope it's not gone off the side of the screen. If I want to smack myself in the face, how am I going to do it? I'm going to pull like this, aren't I? This muscle pulls while this muscle stretches. And if I want to move it back, this muscle pulls, this one stretches. It's when you first learn about it, it's a really awkward thing to think because you always want to oppose it. You think, I know, but muscles push, and you can think of ways where they push, but they don't. They really don't. Take as much time as you want to sit and think about that. Muscles really do only pull. Now, why is that important? The reason I always start that with people is it helps you work out how to train much more efficiently. So if you watch Instagram or if you watch other YouTube videos, you'll see people doing crazy maneuvers. They're sitting in the leg press, pushing it with their hands and banging it on their head, or everyone's looking for something crazy to try and make a tiny bit of difference. But if you can remember the fundamental that muscles only pull under tension, to force, muscles will only pull. You can identify how you want to work out a lot more efficiently. So if you want nice triceps, these are not nice triceps, these are like little chicken fillets. But if you want triceps, the only way is by working your triceps. It's by making them work in a single direction. Doing a complicated or confusing maneuver, it's cool, it's fun, but it's not going to yield the right results. If you can work out If you can work out how every joint is working on your body, it starts to work a lot easier, a lot more simple, and you can work your muscles much more efficiently. Take a bit of time to think about that one, because a lot of people they hate the idea that muscles only pull. They will come up with a theory of why they push, but they don't. You think about it for as long as you want and it will still say the same. Excuse me. That's staying in because I'm too lazy to edit it, and it is real. This is real. I'm real. I'm a human. I cough. So the next one I want to talk about is your soma type. Now you'll always hear people saying, "Oh, I'm big boned." Now there's like a tiny little fraction of truth in this. Humans roughly fall into 3 categories of soma types. So we have ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. So an ectomorph is, I'm going to try and choose these words carefully because they're not designed to insult anybody. It's just, I want to try and put a vivid picture into your head. So let's start with an ectomorph. I'll try and put a picture up here if I can. I would like to use AI to make something a little bit comedic, but I've got a feeling it might say this is against terms and conditions. So if you imagine an ectomorph as a human that looks like a gazelle, so long and thin, long thin muscles, thin bones, lightweight, very little body fat retention. That's roughly the idea that you're thinking about. You might think about a long distance runner. You might think about high jump athletes, or you might there's lots of different athletes who can be ectomorphs. So they can be thin, they can be fast and slim, and they don't need a lot of fat because the sports they do, it benefits them. So if that picture of an ectomorph fits in your head, that's cool. So the next one along is a mesomorph. I really struggle with this one because this is kind of like this is the golden nugget of being an athlete. So probably if you imagine like a puma or a leopard, that kind of physique, so muscular, in the middle length, not too tall, not too short, not too wide, not too thin. Everything is kind of evenly balanced. There's a nice ratio of strength and weight and speed and athleticism. If you're a mesomorph, you've kind of hit the lottery for being good at all kinds of sports. So I try to think of what a mesomorph might be good at. If you think of kind of like a mixed martial artist, those guys in the middle, not the really small guys, not the massive heavy guys, the guys in the middle who they've got lots of power, they've got lots of dynamic energy, they've got lots of strength, they've got lots of endurance, they've got lots of fitness, they've got lots of everything. These are the lucky guys. I'll try and put a picture of something up here. I might just have to resort to Google and find what is a mesomorph. You can do that yourself. You can look at it to your heart's content. So the last one is an endomorph. Now I would describe an endomorph as, imagine that human you know who kind of resembles a rhinoceros. I'm not saying they're fat or they're chunky. I'm saying they are shorter limbs, they have broader muscles, they retain more body fat than the previous two. They are naturally stronger, they're naturally less dynamic. So I guess you think about the really strong guys in a rugby match, not the really fast guys on the wing, but those really, really strong, dense, muscular guys. Powerlifters, a lot of bodybuilders tend to be endomorph because a lot of bodybuilders are really quite short in real life. If you see an endomorph who's 6 foot or 180 meters, 180 centimeters, that's a big powerful dude or big powerful girl. It's like a kind of Amazonian. But hopefully those 3 give you a little bit of idea that people have different body types. Now, why is that important? Why am I telling you this? So if you came to me and said, hey, Ben, I want to do a marathon in 3 hours, but you're an endomorph, you can do it. Of course you can do it, but you're going to have to work a lot harder than an ectomorph who wants to do a marathon in 3 hours, because you're doing the training, but you're also fighting your natural ability. If you came to me and said, "Hey Ben, I'm an endomorph. What do you think I would be good at?" I might say, "You'd probably be very good at swimming. You could look at powerlifting. You could look at even climbing. Climbing typically sort of favors lighter people, but strong people do very well in climbing as well." So just because you were born in one of those soma types, it doesn't mean that you can't do sports that are better suited to people from the other soma types. You can do it, but you are also fighting your nature. So I think I'm probably an ectomorph, really, because I'm quite long and thin. So I'm never going to be the strongest dude in the world. It's never going to happen. I'm never going to be an international powerlifter. So with this in mind, I lean more towards running. I lean more towards endurance sort of sports, the sports where you need like long distance strength, not short bursts of strength. Hopefully that makes sense. The reason I say this is because I think a lot of people, they don't really understand what their soma type is. So they go into a fitness regime and they kind of train so generically that they don't see great results. They see results, but they don't see the results they're expecting. They look at like the girls and the guys on Instagram, and they're like super chiseled and they've got these amazing six packs, and they get disheartened with their progress. So it's important to understand what your shape is and how that impacts what you are best suited to do. You can do anything you want. You can do anything you want, but you can be better suited to some things rather than other things. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If it doesn't, or if you've got any specific questions, pop them in the questions. I know nobody's watching. I'm making these videos for myself at this point, but if by chance you are watching, pop it in the questions and I'll try my best to answer. I will try my absolute best to try and get you a good answer on this. Okay, cool. So cardiovascular exercise. So using these kind of machines, using the treadmill, using the row machine, using the spin bike. So doing cardio, going for a run, is not going to make you skinny. If you're an endomorph, you can run all the way around the world and you are not going to become skinny. It's not going to happen. If you're a power lifter and you go on the treadmill, 10 minutes on the treadmill isn't going to turn you into it's not going to turn you into a marathon runner. You're still going to be you, but what you're going to do, you're going to build a little bit of respiratory strength. You are going to increase how your body processes your breathing. You're going to benefit. You're not going to be sweating when you pick up the phone. You're going to have that little bit of extra sort of just general fitness that's going to help you lifting the weights. Equally, if you don't believe me, we all know somebody who is they've stayed in the same shape for 15 years, but they run every day. So cardio isn't going to make you skinny. The reason this is important to sort of discuss and dispel this myth is because a few years ago, you can remember those girls who used to wear the "Yeah, I squat" t-shirts in the gym, and now you kind of cringe. And they would tell you how they never go to the treadmill and they never do cardio. They just look like this amazing. I think it sets a really negative lost the word. It really sets a negative expectation that, oh, if I can only do cardio, I can only do resistance. You can do both. Doing cardio isn't going to make you skinny. And it's super important to get rid of that myth, because if you're trying to be strong, if you're trying to be fit and healthy, it's important to have good cardiovascular strength. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what your age is, it's good to have some cardiovascular strength. And that's why I will always say to people, cardio will not make you skinny. If you want to be skinny, you've got to eat right and you've got to do so much more cardio than you think. Okay, so don't be too scared of the treadmill. You're going to build some strength, you're going to build some muscle definition, you're going to build extra fitness, and eventually you're going to feel better because that cardiovascular, the way your body is processing the oxygen that you're breathing, the way that you're breathing is going to help you lift the weights if that's what you're into. Now, the opposite of that is you will always hear, and I don't mean to be rude to the girls, you will always hear girls saying, I don't want to lift weights in case I get bulky. Now, I can't stress this enough because look at me, I'm not bulky. I'm not bulky. I'm never going to be bulky. I've been lifting weights. I've been lifting heavier and heavier and heavier weights since I was about 15 years old, which is 30 years now, and I am not bulky. It doesn't happen. Those little blue weights you've got in the bottom of your panty drawer, you're not going to get bulky from lifting those. You're not going to get bulky. Again, why is it important that we include this in the fundamentals? So really, I think it's important because if you can develop a little bit extra strength through resistance training, you're going to improve your metabolism. And if your metabolism has improved, this is going to give the gains that you really need from your cardiovascular. So if you want to be a runner, if you want to be a cyclist, if you want to be a swimmer, you need to do some strength training because it's going to make your muscles stronger. To make your muscles bigger, you have to do a lot of different kind of work. But it's going to make your muscles stronger, but it's also going to make your muscles use more energy. And because your muscles are using more energy, you're going to be burning more fat, and you're going to optimize how you do your cardiovascular. So you're going to see the results you want. The reason people say I don't want to get bulky is because what they see is they see that girl online who's doing these weights, and she might be training for a bodybuilding competition. And in the lead up to the bodybuilding competition, she cuts the fat as much as she can so that her stomach's completely ripped. And she's got these amazing definition in her arms and her shoulders and her legs. She doesn't walk around like that all the time. Nobody does. And to look like that, she's had to put a lot of time and effort in to looking like that, eating correctly, and training very hard to look like that. So doing 10 reps with 1 kilogram, you're not going to turn into Arnie overnight. It is going to benefit you. It's going to benefit your goal because you're going to see better results from your cardio. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about the cardio or resistance, again, pop them into the questions and we'll have a chat about it. It's not a problem. It's good. Ready for the next one? So what I like to try and say to people, when I used to be a personal trainer, I used to be a coach. I stopped doing it a long time ago because I just don't enjoy it. I enjoy doing the fitness myself, but I don't really enjoy coaching people. I'm more interested in giving people the skills to try and coach themselves, or at least the skills to better understand themselves. Excuse me. So the next thing I want to talk about is your latent fitness versus your active fitness. What this is. So your latent fitness is what I call your hidden fitness. So I always used to ask clients, what do you think your fitness is? And mostly out of shyness or maybe a little bit of insecurity, or they don't really know, they'll say, well, I'm average. And the follow-up question to that is, what do you do to maintain your average fitness state? And after a little bit of honesty and a little bit of chat, you come to the realization that they haven't done anything since they were at school. And the last fitness they did was a PE lesson, maybe when they were 16 or 17 years old, which is totally fine. But what you have is everybody has a degree of fitness. Geez, I've been doing this for such a long time. I've seen so many trends, and it's called different things. And every few years, somebody changes the name on what your fitness rating is called. I don't really like doing this. I don't really like following the trends because you kind of tend to invest heavily in a trend and then it changes and then you're out of date. It's better just to look at it holistically and say, we'll talk about active and latent. So your latent fitness, your hidden fitness is how strong you are, without injuring yourself. How far could you walk now without having walked or run for a long time? Could you run? Could you get your bicycle out of the garage and run and cycle 20 miles, 20 kilometers? What would that do to you? Where is your latent fitness? So a lot of people are a lot stronger than they realize. They're a lot stronger physically in their muscles than they realize, but they're a lot weaker in their cardiovascular fitness than they realize. So, before you set out on this journey, or if you're struggling to get over a plateau, try and ask yourself, what have I done to maintain this degree of fitness? Is it my work? Is it the fact that I walk this place? Do you chase your kids around? Are you looking after people? Do you do heavy lifting at work? What is it that's keeping that little bit of like inspiration to start fitness alive? Your latent fitness, what I see quite a lot of is people who would get quite fit and then a little injury would set them back. Or it's very common for women for their fitness to lower a little bit or quite a lot in some cases during a pregnancy. After the pregnancy, it's so difficult to find the time to train or to regain your fitness and your independence. But kind of deep down, you've still got a little core of that fitness. It's in there. It's always in there. And you need to identify, because I can't do it for you. A video can't do it. ChatGPT isn't going to do it. You need to look at what is it? How big is that little pool of latent fitness you've got? What are you going to do to try and sort of like peel it back and reveal it and open up the fitness again a little bit? Everybody has some latent fitness. Everybody. So I'll give you an example. There's a guy I knew. He was a huge guy. I think he was about 30 stone in British, which I'm going to have to say is about 200 kilograms, maybe a little bit more. 200 kilograms is huge, and his active fitness is basically zero. He could barely move around his own house. But his latent fitness, his hidden fitness, was his strength, because he has a body, he has a skeleton the same size as mine, and he has enough strength in the muscles he has, covered by all of his extra fat. He has a lot of strength. So when he started to get fit, his strength really started to show. So he became a very strong guy, but he didn't get big. He stayed slim and he stayed super strong. So his strength of carrying 200 kilograms of his body around was his latent fitness. So let's have a quick chat about your active fitness. So active fitness, it's not necessarily you go to the gym twice a week and you're actively fit. You're just maintaining your latent fitness. I hate to say this, but you're just maintaining that hidden fitness if you're only going to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. So your active fitness is when you are training for something specific. So in my last video, I'm talking about a 150-kilometer run that I'm training for. So my active fitness is going to be very focused on that. I'm going to lose upper body strength because I need more lower body strength. But that kind of active fitness, it doesn't matter if you give a little bit away in one direction and you gain in another. It's where your fitness is right at that moment. If you're only doing enough to maintain your latent fitness, your active fitness is your latent fitness. It's at the balance point. If you are doing this, but you see, oh, there's a swimming event that I'd really like to do in the Lake District. It's a 10-kilometer swim, and I'd really love to do this, but this is my fitness, and that's what I need. You're going to move, you're going to train, and you're going to get to this level of active fitness. So that's what I mean by active fitness. Why I discuss this with people, I think it's important. I think it's important to let people know, and for everybody to know, that they have some latent fitness. Even if you think of yourself as just a potato that sits on the sofa and watches Instagram endlessly like that, you still have some degree of fitness. You can still move if you need to move. You can still start making progress, and that's the important thing, because I think a lot of people, especially when we get to our sort of age, we start to get a little bit of a tire around here. We start to get a bit fat where we're supposed to be thin, and a bit thin where we're supposed to be fat, and we get very disheartened. It's super easy to get quite despondent, because you just can't see a way to get where you want to get to. But just knowing that you have some fitness in there, whether it's your strength or if it's some other fitness or if it's your mental fitness, just knowing that that latent strength, that latent fitness is still in there, is going to help you achieve the training steps that you need to get the thing that you want to achieve. And the thing that you want to achieve, this active fitness, it doesn't need to be anything specific. It doesn't need to be a stupidly long run. It doesn't need to be a bike ride. It doesn't need to be a swim. It could just be, hey, my kids are getting to an age where I want to do stuff with them. I want to go hiking, or I want to be able to go camping. Or it could be that I don't want to make a series of noises when I get up off the sofa. I think we all know we do this. When you get off the sofa or you get out of bed in the morning, you make this heaving and groaning, and everything feels tired and sore and stiff. If your active fitness goal is not to feel like shit in the morning, that's perfect. This is a really good goal. This is really cool. This is really good target. I think we're quite cool with that. So let's go back to muscles only pulling. I know you're not going to speak back to me because I'm speaking to my phone and it's over on a tripod, but you're listening. Have you got your head around this? Have you sat and thought about, actually, yeah, squat, I'm using that, and I'm using this muscle to straighten out my joint. Every joint has opposing muscles. Here, I don't know if you can see my leg. So the top of your leg, the bottom of your leg, this is opposing muscles on this joint. Every joint has opposing muscles, and to move the joint, one muscle must pull, and that's it. Muscles pull and stretch. That is it. Think about that to your heart's content. Argue with me if you want in the comments. I really don't mind. I think it's a really important thing to get across, especially to young people, because you'll see in gyms, you see people doing crazy maneuvers, and that's how you get injured. This is how you get injured. When you realize that muscles only pull, you can do a much more strict movement, and you can understand that you get much better value out of the movement by just doing a singular movement in one direction and making one muscle only pull, rather than trying to do an all over maneuver where everything's swaying and swerving and flying around. It's crazy. Okay, we're good with that. So the last 2 points that I want to talk about, they're more a little bit about the fitness industry. So the fitness is an industry. There's a whole industry set up around vanity, because we all like to look nice. There's a huge industry about it. Now I want to split this into two aspects. So the first one is, I would say, choose your mentors wisely. What do I mean by that, and why is this important? So if you are even slightly interested in fitness, your Instagram feed is going to be full of people selling you products. It's going to be full of super hot young women and like cute guys with like nice haircuts trying to sell you their training course for 30 quid a month or 30 quid a year, or like blah 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 blah. Are their interests very pure? What's in it for you? What is in it for you? You get to give them 30 quid or $50, or I don't know, whatever, how much it is. What are you just a number for them? Are they just selling you something just to get what they want out of you? And that's an incredibly skeptical outlook. But when you look at these people and their courses, take some time, follow them for a while and see how they engage with the people commenting. Because even if they're giving stuff away for free, you might just be feeding their ego. You might just be a number so that they can sell, hey, look, I've got 50,000 followers on my Instagram account, sponsor me. You might be some of that. I know that's a really pessimistic outlook, and there's going to be people who say, "Oh, mind your own business, Ben. People make a living doing this." That's fine, but it's something I really dislike about fitness is that it's like a gatekeeping. It's like this knowledge is power. I'm not going to tell you this unless you pay me this. I think this information should be free. I think you should be empowered to be able to make your own decisions. You should be able to build your own training plan. You should know how to recover. You should know how to prepare for an event, or you should be empowered to understand these things for yourself, not just me tell you, you tell me, I tick the box. I know some people like having a coach or a trainer, or they like looking up to these kind of celebrities online. But for everyone who doesn't, I hope some of this information helps you. Now, the other side of this kind of fitness, this personal side of fitness industry is trainers and coaches. I used to be a personal trainer. The reason I stopped, if I'm brutally honest, what I found is you take a client on, and at first they're really enthused, they'll see some progress. Then a tiny bit later, what you find is every time they ask you something, they're not asking you, they're telling you. And you say, well, we want to try and stick to this plan because this plan's going to get the results. But they're already pissed off with the plan because they've seen the initial results and they've got a little plateau. And then they start thinking, oh, I'm paying money for this every week. It's like a recurring car payment for a car I don't drive. And they talk themselves out of it, and it builds some friction and it gets a little bit weird. And they switch to a different trainer, which is totally fine. I've picked up clients this way. Some of my clients have gone away from me like that. That's the circle of life. But what I would say is, as the person with the money in their hand, you are the prize, not the coach, because you could get on Instagram, you could get on YouTube, you can look anywhere and you will find. I mean, we live in Chamonix, and I could throw an apple into a crowd and hit 3 coaches. As the customer, you are the prize in this situation. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask awkward questions. Don't be afraid, if you have to pay for one session, to just see how you gel as people, to see what the relationship's going to be like. And I think it's super important that if you want a coach, if you want a trainer, instead of it being like a mummy and a baby relationship, you kind of need to be almost equals. I know this will pay a lot of people off, because a lot of people want to be told what to do and then have congratulation for it. That's okay. It's a little bit of an accountability thing, and I know that's big for a lot of people, but I think it's more important for you to be almost peers so that you can have an honest discussion. Obviously, I don't have a coach, but if I do a race, I will chat with my friends who understand coaching, and they understand, they maybe a coach themselves. We have a chat, and after the race, we have a super frank chat of why did you mess it up. And I think that degree of accountability in a coach is really important. You need to be seen eye to eye as 2 grown-ups. If you do a race and you're not happy with the result, and your coach pats you on the butt and says, oh, you did a great job, I'm so proud of you, but you know you're not proud of yourself, that coaching relationship is not working for you. That coaching relationship is a money, it's just an endless payment for you, and you're not getting what you want. I'm more than sure I'll draw some hate from someone who's a coach for that. I don't care. I do not care if you don't like that idea. If you want a coach who's going to pat you on the head and tell you, good job, well done, man, you did a great job of that, even if you know you didn't, But if you want that, if that works for you, if that motivates you, then happy fucking Christmas. Stick at it and work it. Just because I don't like that kind of coaching doesn't mean you don't have to dislike it too. Oh, excuse me. So be willing to have a good conversation with your coach. Be willing to ask the difficult questions. Don't just see a coach who's got an amazing record as a runner or a swimmer or a cyclist and think they're going to be amazing, because sometimes somebody with a really poor record of doing has a much better understanding of how to get the best out of you. For example, if you were to say, oh, I want to run the UTMB, so it's the UTMB is 160 kilometers, 10,000 meters of elevation, and you're going to do it in somewhere between 24 and 48 hours. If you say, I really want to do this, and you go to a coach who's training professionals, your training isn't going to match your ability. And they're going to say, I can't understand it because this is the training all my other athletes do. Why doesn't it work for you? Where if you take a coach who understands you and your limitations and your capacity and your own experience, you're probably going to come out with a much more well-suited training plan that works for you. I'm really sorry, I'm getting a sore throat, just bear with. I need to take a drink of water because I talk so much. Somebody once said to me when I was in America, they said, Ben, if I had a British accent, sorry for my American accent, if I had a British accent, man, I would never shut up. So I'm living out that man's dream, okay? Okay, so let's carry on. Thankfully, we're getting quite close to the end, so you don't need to hang about for too much longer. I hope what we've talked about so far has been interesting and has given you some insight. So the last one I want to talk about is about the industry again, and it matches on my thoughts on the previous comment. I would say accessories are not required. Yeah, I know you can see I'm wearing a Coros watch here, and I track every time I go for a run, go for a walk. I track when I go to the toilet in the night. But for a long time, I never tracked any runs. I never tracked any races. I did everything by feel. I kept a diary and I just wrote the distance, roughly the distance I'd run, how I felt, what the weather was, this kind of thing, this kind of detail. Now there's an absolute whole world of accessories. Probably just watching this video is going to trigger your Instagram to fill your feed with accessories like inflatable leg things so that you can recover, these massage guns, stretchy bands and skipping ropes and some wheel and some like electric pads, and it's absolutely endless. It's absolutely endless. I mean, just looking around, we have loads of stuff, but this is our gym. So, you know, some of it is justified and some of it gets used. There's a lot of accessories that sit on the shelf and they never get used. I dread to think how many homes have got some kind of accessory, that was promised to make them super fit and healthy and faster and more athletic. It's been there since fitness has begun. It will continue to be there forever. If you like the look of something, by all means buy it and enjoy it and have fun. If it works for you, this is the important thing. So this watch, my wife bought for me. I would never have bought it myself because they're too expensive, but my wife bought it for me for a Christmas or a birthday, and it's been transformative to how I run because it's allowed me to track my runs, and it's helped me to get a little bit faster where I can go faster and understand a few different things about myself while I'm running. Things like my heart rate, things like my average speed, things like cadence, which I'll try and do another video about cadence at some point, because it's quite a cool thing in running. It will only be a very short video, but cadence and running is really, really interesting. And wearing the watch has really helped this. But do I need one of these little things to exercise my forearms? I don't think so. There's so many accessories. I couldn't even begin to cover all of them. Some of them are hilarious. Some of them are just junk. Some of them are super good. They're super productive for your training. So like the TRX suspension systems, they're really cool. Personally, I don't really get on with them. I don't really like them. I've got alternatives so that I can do everything else anyway. But if you've only got a small space, or if you want to go, if you travel, the suspension kits, basically you get like 2 ropes that hang over a door, and you can do pull-ups and this kind of thing. They're pretty cool. But the things that are vibrating and are like a 50 quid hat and super expensive t-shirts, it all starts to get a little bit unnecessary for me. If this is what motivates you though, if if going out dressed in your nice shirt and your nice shorts and your fancy shoes, if that helps you feel good about yourself and motivates you to go do it, then I'm all in favor of that. But just know that if you are kind of starting out on this journey, you don't need all that crap. I look back at my races from when I started trail running to now. When I started trail running, I had a pair of shoes that were maybe 5 years old. My shorts, my t-shirt, my bag with the bottles on, everything was from Decathlon. The whole outfit probably cost less than £100, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And I was faster then than I am now. And now I got like £200 shorts on, and I got a £150 t-shirt. I'm just getting slower. So just, yeah, it's nice to have, and it's nice to feel good, and it's nice to feel good about yourself. But just remember, you don't need it, especially if you're just starting. You can do this. You can do this. You can get fit, and you can take the first steps into fitness without any accessories. You can do it. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this whole thing. If you've watched it all, I'm super proud of you. I'm really pleased. I don't expect anybody to watch. I'm doing this mostly for practicing talking, mostly to see how I can do something and how I can make things a little bit better. If you did get any good information, please by all means hit the like button, because I appreciate it. It makes me realize that somebody's actually watching, not just a bot, and not just myself and my wife. If you want some more information about any of the things we've talked about, so if it's the muscles, if it's about the soma types, if it's about the cardio and resistance, if it's about your latent and active, or if you just want some help on how to pick a coach based on what you want to do, by all means drop a message in the comments, and we'll have a little chat about it. Thank you again. If you enjoy the content, please hit subscribe, and you can you can see when I post my next nonsense video. Thank you again, guys. Really appreciate you being here.